And that is what I'm going to do now, Benedict, because he talked about, actually, there being a sort of naivety and inexperience when it comes to politicians. And I think this is the case. And it's not always just about age, is it? We were speaking earlier how there seem to be a lot of people who have climbed the greasy pole to success by obeying these sort of neo-religious rules and repeating the mantras and staying, you know, completely in time with all these ever-evolving taboos, to the point that perhaps they believe their own narratives now as they tell us this is the way things are. But there seem to be, in this new cohort of MPs, a heck of a lot of young ones, right? Very young ones, especially within the Labour ranks, who might look nice and represent different cohorts of society on telly box and this, that and the other. But I do wonder if Graham's got a point there, because it seems a very long time since we had a proper, fully formed adult in the room when it comes to politics. In terms of, you mean that it's just a very immature government and that this is what's happening as a result of inexperience? A range of things. I think that there's the politicians have been getting increasingly younger, perhaps, and I've seen a lot of people on the Labour benches. Is that true? I mean, I thought actually increasingly politicians were pandering to older people, the gerontocracy, as people call it. Well, maybe within the Conservative Party, if you look at America, but when I've seen, you know, there's a flurry of MPs putting selfies on Twitter when they've got their jobs, and it's a bit like, yo, my first day in Parliament. But the people at the top of the party, so Keir Starmer is not a spring chicken. Yvette Cooper is not, you know, freshly installed. Actually, a lot of the people in the cabinet, there have been some people who have been appointed who have never been MPs before, actually straight to the cabinet, but that's because of their relative experience in areas like housing, for instance. Yeah. But so I think it's a bit of a mix and match. I don't think that you can put what's currently happening down to inexperience, because a lot of the youthful MPs have not actually had an opportunity to have much of a say. Actually, we've had this sort of early summer election, and now we've into recess. There's not been much opportunity for them to make fools of themselves or for them to try to get policy wrong. I think what is happening with regards to the Labour Party is that they're trying techniques that they believe have worked in the past up to now. So blaming things on the far right, you know, two-tier policing has worked. We have to be honest, actually, it has worked to a degree up to now. But it's worked in terms of kicking the can down the road, diffusing things in the short term and not addressing underlying structural problems. Now, the Labour Party, as I say, only been in government for a couple of weeks, hasn't had time to change that yet, but the fear has to be it will make the same mistake that the Conservatives did for 14 years, which is not to address the underlying causes, because that's how the little bit of, you know, disillusionment grows into a movement of people who are furious, and that's how you get things ultimately like Brexit. That's how the establishment gets a bloody nose, because it doesn't see these things coming. To quote Don McLean, they're not listening still. Perhaps they never will.